Hi, I'm Jay. Today I'm putting hair on some 3/4 flats with a stinger hook. Stay tuned. So today in the vise, we're tying some 3/4 flats. This is for a customer who is using these specifically St. Lawrence River, northern New York, fishing primarily for walleye, but I'm sure they're also getting pike as well. In a previous video, we added the stinger hooks to this, just by wrapping on that Mustad 3399 number 6 hook as a stinger on the 30-pound mono. Now the hook in the jig itself is a 91751. It's a Mustad limerick hook. It's size 3/0. Very stout. Definitely not the gold thin wire that I typically use. But as we'll tie this, we haven't done a bucktail in a little while, so what I have is some fluorescent orange, and we'll go with the fluorescent yellow, of course, to match the head. The wraps for the stinger hook just happen to be orange thread. It's something that we have an awful lot of, so I'm just using it up. I don't usually use orange as a collar. We're getting ahead of ourselves. So we'll begin by locking on our thread with a few wraps towards the bend of the hook, and then touching wraps back to the head of the jig. But we'll begin with our darkest color first by taking a pinch of the fluorescent orange. First removing any of the fuzz or broken hairs, short fibers from the butt of your pinch. And then we'll switch our hands and we will stack by hand. I'm just looking for any short or broken tips that are kind of sticking out. We can remove those. Now I walk my fingers back and forth on the pinch to make it either longer or shorter, trying to get a length that I'm happy with. The tail should be the length of the body, the hook shank, past the bend of the hook, which will also cover the end where the stinger hook is. So on this vise, we're going to aim for the black part of my vise. Once I'm happy with that pinch, switch your grip one last time and keep this pinch nice and tight. You can lay this pinch in place. We'll lock it on. 4 wraps towards the bend of the hook, a couple wraps towards the head to crisscross them and overlap it, and then we give that pinch a twist. Now you might have noticed that the jig shifted just slightly in the jaws of the vise. I straightened it back out and I just tightened it a little bit better. These hooks, like I mentioned, the 3/0 hooks are they're stout hooks, and kind of push the limits on the jaws of this vise. It does hold it well. I just have to be careful the way I lock them in place. Now this guy, he's an old timer. That's why I think one of the reasons why he still uses this pattern. This is kind of an old-timey pattern. And he likes the Flashabou 6901, which is just the silver Flashabou. And I take a half a dozen strands like so. Kind of lick the strands, kind of like you're about to thread a needle, just to bring them all together. So I can lay this right in place, right down the hook shank, down the center. It'll be down the center of the two collars. About 4 wraps towards the bend of the hook, a couple wraps back just to cross them over and lock this into place. And then I cut the Flashabou just short of the end of the hair fibers. Now we can go straight to our fluorescent yellow. And again, with our pinch, we can remove any fuzz or broken fibers from the butt ends of your pinch. Switch your grip and stack by hand. This fluorescent yellow tail has a lot of medium-sized hair with just a few real long fibers, so it really is important to restack. Just so your tail is fairly consistent from front to back in terms of volume of hair. So again, I can change the grip, my grip from left to right, just to walk the pinch forward or backwards so I can get the right length. And when I'm happy with that, I can change my grip one last time. Keep this pinch tight through the whole process. That's 3 wraps towards the bend of the hook, 3 wraps back towards the head. As you can see, we have a slight V here. The silver tinsel is right down the center. And I normally would have kept my left hand pinch just right where it was the entire process, but we are, I removed my hand to show on the video. But we can walk the thread up to the head of the jig, back about halfway, back up to the head of the jig, just trying to shape the collar to give it a nice uniform look. To finish this off, I will take some size A thread of a different color. I just happen to have this brown thread here. If I can unwrap it. And I cut a piece about 18 inches long. Fold it over to make a loop. I can place this under my last wrap. Now I can take a few wraps towards the bend of the hook, touching wraps back to the head. And finish off the collar. Before I take this out of the vise, I'm going to add head cement to the collar. This is just a lacquer-based head cement. Very simple to make. This is just a lacquer straight from the can, diluted, I don't know, maybe 10 to 1. So 10 parts of lacquer and 1 part of thinner. There you have it. Like I said, this really does put some pressure on the jaws of the vise, just because of how thick this hook is. Very strong hook. He'll be able to catch pike and walleye all day on this jig. So very nice jig, 3/4 flat with tinsel and stinger hook. So I think that's going to do it for us today. As always, if you have any questions or comments, put those down below. Feel free to hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any new content. As always, you can share our videos. I know there's a couple groups that use them for instructional type videos, which I think is just fantastic. But that's going to do it for us today. So until next time, guys, keep tying and tight lines.